Okay. Right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome all to this meeting of the Scrutiny, Climate Change and Environment Committee on Monday, the 12th of January 2026. May I remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live via YouTube, and the recording will be archived. So there we go, for future viewing. Could all councillors and officers ensure that when they speak, they switch their microphones on, and when they finish speaking, switch off their microphones. This is important for the live stream and also ensures that the cameras will be focusing on the individuals who is speaking. Right. So, I think it's a new year. I think we should perhaps do some introductions to the people on YouTube land who I'm sure are watching our every move and utterance. So if I start from my right, please. Thank you. You'd like to introduce yourself, please? Thank you.
Sorry. It's Councillor Michael Huckabee, representing Branston Ward.
Rob Hawkins, Uttoxeter Heath.
Councillor Monica Holton, Burton and Eaton Ward.
Councillor Bev George.
Joining us on Zoom, on Teams rather, is Councillor Allen. Thank you, Councillor Allen. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Andrea Davis, Principal Democratic Services Officer.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Apologies for absence, please. And I think you've told me that Councillor Bailey isn't coming, is she? No, she's not available, is she, for some reason?
That's correct, Chairman, and also Councillor Gould has submitted her apologies.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Number two, do any councillors have any declarations of interest to declare on the items under discussion at this evening's meeting? No? No hands going up. Thank you. 3, urgent business. I'm not aware of any urgent business for consideration at the meeting. Item 4, questions from the public. No questions from members of the public have been received in advance of the meeting. Item 5, questions submitted by members of the committee. No questions from members of the committee have been received in advance of the meeting. Item 6, public minutes of previous meeting held on the 29th of September. Have we all seen those, people? Everyone says yes. Everyone's happy with that. Yeah. I'm going to add something at this point, I think, because at the last meeting I was asked to write some letters. One was to Simon Slater regarding the HVO use in taxis, which I've since sent the members a copy of the reply. The reply actually came back from Margaret Woolley. There's a hard copy. Mick, pass that around that way, please. Thank you. And pass that around that way, please. That's the last letter, because I did say I would send you that, and on email, Councillor Allen, you'll see a copy of the letter talking about HVO and use of taxis. And basically, there's no prescription to not using HVO in taxis, but the council doesn't seem to be actually encouraging its use in taxis. And the other one was a letter to Ali Chowdhury, asking Ali Chowdhury to come and talk to us about the council's investment strategy in relation to its climate change initiatives. And he's not replied to me in person, but I understand he's coming to us in April, perhaps. Is that right, James? Okay, thank you. At the moment, I'm sorry, people. I'm not sure I shall be here in April, but I will try and join on Teams if I'm not available to be here in person. Yes, of course, yes, yes. Councillor Huckabee.
Yeah, on the first one, which was the HVO for the use of taxi drivers, I think that probably came from myself, and it originates from the use of HVO for council heavy goods vehicles, the collection of the waste and what have you. the background to it is that the cost of moving to electric vehicles is huge compared to the running of Euro 6 on HVO fuel. You need no tune-in or special consideration. You can just change from the dirty oil, petroleum or whatever it is, diesel oil, to HVO without any thought. It just works. Now, as far as the situation with taxis is concerned, the policy of the council is to encourage taxi drivers to change to electric vehicles. Now, this job is quite onerous in the sense of the costs of moving to EV are something like 20,000 quid to get a decent EV car. Most of them have Euro 6 already, right? There are about 300 taxis in East Staffordshire, probably a few more. Some registered in Wolverhampton, some registered here, some registered in somewhere else. If we need to make gains in the global warming situation, which is now becoming rampant and runaway, then low-hanging fruit is what we should be plucking first. Now, when we look at the charging centres, charging points that we're putting down, they're not really suitable for taxi drivers who predominantly live in deprived areas where there are no private drives to put local, very local individual charging points on. I know there's ideas about street ideas that they're borrowing from elsewhere that might or might not work. And it would seem to me that in the period that it takes for people to build up the cash for the purchase of an EV car, we'd be better off if we got behind an encouragement to use HVO. Now, the problem with HVO is I don't know whether or not there's suitable amounts of HVO oil available, right, for their daily use. They travel about 100 miles a day, 300 cars, 330,000 miles or whatever it is. And I don't know whether that amount is available. So we would need a little bit of assistance by officers to find out. Now, because we buy it in bulk, as Margaret says, for the for the waste vehicles, the same supplier ought to be asked whether or not he could supply sufficient to cover that ground of taxes. Now, the question of where do they pick it up from is another question mark, because you're not going to get it in dribs and drabs through local petroleum normal filling stations. So it might be that they would have to fill up at a convenient centralised plot. But as I say, it's my opinion that we will soon be looking for every single opportunity to save carbon being emitted into the atmosphere, which is another thing that needs to be talked about. But directly about the taxes, I think we have to change our long-term views to include short-term views and probably medium-term views. I mean, the changing of a Euro 6 to another Euro 6, you measure it in less than £10,000. To move from Euro 6 when it wears out to EV is probably 20,000. These people are not on that sort of money. And the problem that their home location where they park the cars is not conducive to fit in sufficient charging points. So that's my perspective anyway.
Okay, thank you, Mick. I'll just ask Councillor George to speak now. Thank you, Councillor George. Are we on? Okay. You can. Sorry, Councillor Allen, I beg your pardon, so I'm getting my Georges and my Allens mixed up. I do apologise. Councillor Allen, sorry. Please speak now.
Hi, sorry, for some reason, Mick, your mic is quite difficult to hear you when you're speaking, so I was just checking what you were saying about this. So, the last meeting, we asked a number of questions which we're expecting the Cabinet members for, was that correct?
I wrote the question to Councillor Slater, yes, Councillor Simon Slater, yeah, and obviously they had a discussion about it amongst themselves, and we got the reply back from Margaret Woolley, which I've copied you. I sent you an email about that this afternoon, and I've given the people in the room here a hard copy of it. I did ask for it to be out in the minutes, but there you go. So basically, pass me the letter again, please, Nick. If you've not had a chance to read it yet, if the wrong one. If you've not had a chance to read it yet, it basically says that there's no prohibition against using HVO in taxis. Sorry, here we go. So I sent a letter similar to Mick's request, which you just talked about, and basically, as discussed, there is nothing in our policy that prevents the use of HVO. I would suggest the only obstacle is its availability, which is what Mick's talked about. My understanding is that we buy in bulk. It is meant to be a much cleaner fuel, so we may have to consider it at some point if it becomes readily available for people. Seem to remember years back when people were using chip oil from shops, but not necessarily for taxis. We also licensed LPG that requires a conversion tank. This was phased out. So that's quite a small reply, forgive me, Margaret Woolley, to the question I asked, and certainly I think Mick's come with more detailed knowledge about it. Did you want to hear Councillor Huckaby's comments again, Councillor Allen?
No, I can hear Mick quite clearly, and I can hear James as well. It's just seems to be your microphone.
My microphone. I'm
just checking with
getting my mixed up. Sorry, I was told to leave the microphone on for you to speak to us. Is this working? Is that better if I stand back a bit? Is that better, Councillor Allen?
Yeah.
Okay, righto.
And I was more concerned that I thought from what you were saying, it sounded like we invited the Cabinet member to attend the next scrutiny meeting, and he said he'd come in April, which I thought would be pretty bad because that was 7 months later. But if that's not the case,
we invited. I asked Councillor Chowdhury to come. I think, yeah. I haven't got the email in front of me now, but yes. And then it was for the next meeting, but I've been told since he's going to come in April, or the team from the Treasury team are going to come in April. James Abbott will know better about this. Go on, James. Does that make sense, Councillor Allen? Does that make sense? Yep, sort of thumbs up go. Okie dokie. Right. Councillor Huckaby, Mick, what you said just was very interesting. So might I suggest that you write that details? Do you want to contact Councillor Slater yourself about that? Because you seem to know a lot more about it than I do. Let's be honest. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, send me a copy, yes. Yes, please. There you go. So Councillor Huckaby is thank you. I'll write that down. Action. Councillor Huckaby is going to write a more detailed email to Councillor Simon Slater about HVOs. Hang on, Mick H. Thank you, Councillor Huckaby. To S. Slater. Okay, right. Okie dokie. So otherwise then, going back to the minutes, we're still on item 6, aren't we? Otherwise, I propose the approval of the minutes then as they are. Do I have a seconder, please?
Could I also comment?
Oh, sorry. Go on. Yeah, Councillor. Go on.
Could I comment on the other bit within the scrutiny review programme update 149.
Nick, we're just approving the minutes first. We've got to approve
Yeah,
the
I
minutes.
just wanted to explain
Oh, go on. Okay.
why it's there. I think it's another one that I was partially involved in promoting. Now, the investment approach and the impact on climate matters. The investment approach, I've had long discussions with Lloyd with regard to the sly placing of investments, where he tells me that security comes first, I forget what L stands for, and Y is for yield, and that particular order, he says, is given to him by the government through the council management and what have you, and that he can't deviate from that without a political change, which is in the hands of the members at full council, I guess. So my attempts to get it included, first of all, on our particular group's agenda, because that needs to, first of all, it needs to attract a majority of, say, Labour participants, and then to full council where everybody's bought in and it takes its chance. Now, when I came to ask when it would be on the agenda, I was told that the investments with the Royal Bank of Canada, which I specifically mentioned as a way of targeting people's attention or minds, right, was due for completion this year. Therefore, my specific complaint or divestment feeling was redundant. And I did promise at that meeting to bring it to scrutiny and to get it onto the scrutiny committees. And it also gave me the opportunity, while I was at it, to not be so specific, but to include every investment and to include pensions. I now have come to the conclusion that the reason why we're not seeing sufficient response to all the efforts that are being made across the world is because there's large numbers of councils, private individuals, pension funds and what have you, which are continuing to say one thing publicly, but privately that money is going into the expansion of fossil fuels, the expansion and new creation of it, to the extent which the size of that investment is overriding the efforts of everybody to bring it under control or mitigate. Now, the summation of all that is that this council is in contradiction with itself. It can't, on the one hand, have a climate emergency, and then on the other hand, feed that emergency by making investments to the fossil fuel industry. So we can exist in contradiction, obviously, but it'd be a bit two-faced, and it would be, in a sense, greenwashing in front of our electorate. So, in my estimation, there ought to be a clean, honest truth of what the situation is, and vote either way for whichever one we want to pursue. Now, the climate change policies and what have you the world over are under attack. We know about America with Trump. We know about Farage in Britain. We know about some of the corporate banks which are backing off from their commitments they made 2, 3, 4 years ago. The problem is, for me personally, is I think it's serious. So
thank you, Councillor Cabine. That's interesting. I mean, again, well, when the relevant Treasury Cabinet members and officers attend the committee in April, we'll be able to put all those points to them, won't we? Yeah, so thank you very much for that. Yeah, thank you. Right, so now then, that said, shall we now go to I propose the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a seconder? Nobody? Yes, thank you very much. Councillor Holton, thank you. Okay, we will now go to the vote. All those for? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4. Any against? Any abstentions? You got that? Yeah. Okay, stop there. Right. Okay. Item 7, scrutiny review programme. This is me now. So as you'll know, we've got 2 current review programmes going along. One was concerning the brown bin subscription charge, and just to recap for everybody, I was hoping to present these both our reviews, the brown bin subscription charge and the Healthy Homes project review, 30th of June last year, and because of the comments in the Office of Considerations, I judged it prudent to withdraw the presentation of the reports I'd got so far and to do some amendments. I know it's taken me quite a while, but I have recently rewritten or gone through the brown bin subscription charge, and I've invited the subgroup, that's Councillor Huckabee and Councillor George, to comment on what I've written so far. You've got emails and hard copies going your way, if not with you yet. And also, I'll be grateful if the officers could add some comments to that one as well, please. And that's the brown bin subscription charge. As regards the Healthy Homes project, I've identified what I think needs to be changed in that, but I haven't got any much further actually writing any actual words down as to how I might amend the report. But again, I've found it in a format that I can easily amend without the trouble of rewriting it. And the members of the subgroup, which is Councillor Huckabee, Councillor Holden and Councillor Bailey, and myself, have them with them electronically. And if you've got any amendments or thoughts about that, I'll be grateful to receive it. So that's where we are with the 2 current programmes. At the last meeting, I said I was sort of reluctant to sort of have any more reviews going on until we'd got some progress with the 2 that we've already started. But at this point, I think it might be worthwhile people thinking about what other reviews they would like the group to undertake. So at that point, I'll put it open to the floor, and if anyone's got any suggestions for anything or any comments about our current progress, then please go now. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Huckabee, go ahead.
The Borough report on housing stock, plus the officers' response with their action plan, which I think has been adopted by the Cabinet. So that the Borough report cost us 15,000 quid, I think, and it contains an immense amount of information which I don't think has been brought to the surface. But it depends on where we see our remit as a council. I see the remit of the council as being particularly the one that has a duty of care to the residents within East Staffordshire, although the county council would claim the same and the national government will claim the same. I think there's a duty of care that we must express because the local councils, district councils, have been entrusted with ensuring that homes, rather than houses, are fit for purpose.
Can I stop you there, Mick? So are you suggesting we include comments about this in the current Healthy Homes project review we're undertaking, or we do a separate review about homes in general?
It covers warm homes, healthy homes. It covers decarbonisation. Just a footnote there. We did have a commissioned report from Atkins Realis on 4 council managed buildings, which would have saved somewhere around 400 tonnes of carbon a year at a cost of between 10 and 12 million over a few years. But that appears mathematically to be the flea on the back of a mouse on the back of an elephant. If we look at the greatest legacy from our local towns' best years, which were Victorian times around there, the numbers of pre-1919 use that figure as as a broadish label for them. Single brick constructed houses, labourers' houses, they number effectively about 12,000 to 15,000. But if we take single brick houses in East Staffordshire, they get up to a number of about 20,000 because they didn't stop building, the building regs didn't stop single brick houses being built until 1965. So the total sum of single brick houses is somewhere around, reaches probably 20,000. Those houses are leaking colanders. When we give grants to people to warm their homes, we're effectively giving grants to the energy suppliers because so much escapes so quickly.
Sorry, mate, let me stop you there. So do you think this is something that because obviously there's been a new housing stock model report, hasn't there, since we started doing the Healthy Homes programme review. Do you think we can add all this stuff in to that review, or do we need to start another one? That's what I'm asking the question. So if you want to start another one, then come to me with clear proposals of what we're going to investigate and what we're going to do. Or if you want to add it to that one, which I think although the Healthy Homes programme is a specific programme, it's a government funded programme, isn't it? My feeling is we could add a lot of those comments into that. That's what I think. But I mean, but if you think we need to do a bigger piece of work on a separate review, then come to us with a clear proposal of what we want to do, and then we might be able to do it. Perhaps stop. Councillor George, yes.
I just want to remind everybody this is a scrutiny in climate change. A lot of what you've just put forward falls under planning and financial, which we're not covered to do. So we've got to have a clear direction of what you actually want to include in that.
No,
That's all I'm saying.
I disagree.
Right, thank you, Councillor George. Yes, I mean, Councillor Kirby has already said he's going to disagree, but I'm going to disagree as well. I think we've got the scope. We started off our first meeting, I'm sure, the climate change aspect should influence all things, shouldn't it? And quite certainly, I sit on the planning committee, I sit on the development plan committee, and if I can make both things work in a more climate-friendly way, I will do, because that's what we're about on all my committees I sit on. So I think we should bear it in mind. Yes. But certainly, I mean, the Healthy Homes project, the Healthy Homes programme is at one glance quite a narrow, restrictive review, isn't it? Because just you might think we're just talking about the Healthy Homes project and how the council administers it for the areas that start again. It's a government funded programme, and obviously the council's only got resources to do as much as that the funds from the government allow it to. But the principle of what Councillor Kirby has just said is that if we're spending money on in another area of the council on properties that are leaking, then maybe we can do something cleverer, perhaps. And that's what I'm thinking.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody kept the climate side of stuff in mind and not the planning side or the financial side, because that's what this committee is here to do. That's all.
Yeah, Councillor Kirby, sorry, and then Councillor Hawkins.
Well, we are environment as well as climate change. And in both instances, it's the health of people. Now, I'm an engineer of long standing, and part of my training was, first of all, when we had an issue, was to find out how far that issue extended, to scope it, to find its boundaries, and then to start thinking about how to solve it. Now, it might be that finance comes into it down the road, but not initially. If we find out that, as the action plan for the warm homes, we ran out of money in the first instance after we'd done just a few houses, because the conditions they actually found were far more terrible than what they'd estimated. So instead of doing 150 houses, we ended up doing about 50 or 60, because the money was all piled into that. Finance, I think, well, let's go back to the last LAG meeting we had when I made the statement or suggested that too much information was siloed within different departments, like finance, like planning, like building regs, like this, that and the other. And that the CEO actually disagreed with that and said that that wasn't the case, that there was interplay between these different locations of knowledge that would influence the decisions they were going to work on. Now, if that's true, then it really doesn't matter where the distinctions come from, so long as they go back to Lloyd to find out what his ideas would be to finance these problems, would go back to planning to see where the issues would stop there, what were the restrictions and what have you. But the initial discussion, I think, can cover.
We just need to bear in mind that we're an Environment and Climate Change Committee.
Yep.
Those are our concerns. And the other committees will pick up the other bits. That's
I think we get, forgive me, I'm supposed to be chairing, I know I'm not doing my best at it, but obviously not good enough. So I think I get what you're saying, Mick, I understand what Beth's saying as well, but we've got to come to some agreement on this. I'm probably veering on the realm of, you know, we can investigate anything, as long as we can find a climate angle to it. I can't see why not, but hey, we bear it in mind, and we should be, you're dead right, we should be very careful that we don't overstep our boundary, and if there is another committee that does it better, then we can invite them. We could send our comments to them, can't we? We can sort it out, but so it is useful. At this point, I'm going to let Councillor Hawkins have a go, please. Thank you. Oh, is he? Is your hand up, Councillor? I can't see it. Is it? Oh,
it was.
I beg your pardon, Councillor. Sorry, I missed your hand going up. Go ahead, please.
It was up. It was kind of. It wasn't relevant to the topic, so I thought I'd wait until we'd moved on. But I'll interject at this point anyway. I think we'd be absolutely balmy to be taking on anything new when we haven't concluded the things we've started many months ago. Frankly, for very basics of project management, you don't keep stuffing things in at the top if you can't get things out at the bottom. But
okay, thank you, Councillor. Yes, point well taken. If you could send me some comments then on the brown bin subscription charge, which are revision as I've already done, that'd be useful. Thank you. At this point, Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you, Chair. The Council either has or is about to embark on an extensive programme of allocating Section 106 funding that has accumulated over the years for the provision of affordable but particularly social housing. I believe the system is in place or should be in place. I think it would be very worthwhile if for the next meeting we had a view about how that delegation, if you like, of the funding was going. I know that registered providers have been approached with the relevant paperwork. I know that the paperwork has come back. And I think it's very interesting. We're not talking about a few £100,000. We're talking about several £1 million of Section 106 funding for affordable houses, which in the current climate should be focused on houses for social rent. And I, for one, would like this committee and any other one that wants to have a look at it. The more this is talked about, the more it is in the public domain, I think the better chance we have of actually getting some houses for social rent built.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Anybody else at this point? Right. We can, of course, ask questions, can't we? As per item 5 of our agenda, you know, for answer, any members of the committee can ask a question, can't they? So we can do it that way, and you're welcome to do that. And I'm trying to encourage people to ask questions. We've not had too many questions asked, have we, really, apart from myself? But bearing in mind, I think what Councillor Allen has quite rightly said, we haven't concluded the first two programmes yet, have we? So, I don't know. I think at this point, maybe I think we should perhaps go away and think about this and come back to me in email form as to what you want to do next. Sorry, Councillor Hawkins.
hopefully interfering in your summation, I actually agree with the Chair and with Councillor George. At the present moment in time, if there are two scrutinies, if that's the right word, being undertaken, then let's complete those. What I'm talking about actually is a new project on the table, which I think we need to keep, because if it's environmental and healthy homes and all the rest of it, we need to keep a healthy eye on through this scrutiny group.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins, thank you. Anybody else? Go on then, Councillor Kirby, let's go.
I'll make the comment that I've got too much time on my hands and therefore I live and breathe council reports. And as far as the several comments that have been made for different, those that we're still left to do, those that I'm put forward, those that Councillor Hawkins has just submitted and whatever, are all in the same pot, that it's housing is the biggest problem in East Staffordshire. It's sheer size. Those that have been evicted from houses, I've got a figure of 80, I don't know yet whether it is 80 people that have been put into board and lodging at a cost of thousands a year. The warm homes is part of the same issue, houses or homes, fit for purpose homes. The 2004 Housing Act, which states that the responsibility for condition 1 defects, which are those which leave people with lifelong illnesses and whatever, is the responsibility of this council. The fact that we're a busted flush and we've got no money, that comes later. There are things which I don't think even, the scrutiny for finance is. There's a group called Lendology, which is associated with district councils, and by that relationship, they're able to fund huge projects like the retrofitting of houses rather than the demolition of them. So I apologise if I've got too much time on my hands, but if I see something that improves what we can do or what we should do and whatever, then I'll speak my mind on that. If somebody else wants to pick it up and run with it, if they want to say, well, why don't the Scrutiny Committee for Environment and Climate Change, can we have a dual meeting so we can discuss the relationship between cost and solution, then I'm open to that. We meet all, whatever it is, 57 of us, 40 odd up in the council chamber. We get on quite well up there. There's no fisticuffs at the moment because there's no reform here. So, if we can't agree as grown-ups on a better route or improvement of what's been put forward, then we're a sorry bunch, really, aren't we?
No, it's okay. I'll tell you what then, Councillor. What I'm going to propose we do then, I'm going to suggest that, as has been pointed out, we still haven't got any more. We still haven't finished our first 2 reviews. But I'm going to suggest that the Healthy Homes subgroup take all these comments on board. We complete the Healthy Homes review, and if we can't add the comments or the items we've discussed tonight into that, maybe that same group might want to do another review specifically on refurbing properties throughout the borough, and, as per Borough report. Yeah, okay. And I think maybe in fact, if you don't mind, Councillor Hawkins, what I'll do is I'll send you a copy of the Healthy Homes review that we've got so far, which needs reviewing. Okay, and that's what, and say if it is, we think we can cover all the areas we've just talked about. I suspect probably not. Then maybe after we've done that one, we can start another review on homes. If that's the settled view of the committees at home, seems to be the most important thing we could talk about at this stage. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good. Radio. Go on. Yes. James, come on. Go ahead. Happy with that? Is everyone happy with that? Say yes. Oh yes, they're nodding nicely. Thank you very much, James. That's great. Okie dokie. Right then, item 8, executive record decisions. A list of EDRs has been circulated in advance of the meeting. Does anyone have any questions? Just to remind you what the EDRs were about. So we've been sent approval of works to replace boiler at 22 Rangemore Street. That's where the soup kitchen is. The second one was removal of car parking charges over Christmas. The next one was review of public space protection orders, control of dogs in public spaces. The next one was appointment to outside bodies. And the final one was termination of the insourcing of the ground maintenance. Termination of the grounds maintenance insourcing project. So those are the EDRs that we're asked to review. Has anyone got any comments about any of those? Mic on, please. Councillor Buckingham, mic on.
Yeah, I'm worried about the money. The cancellation of the bringing it in-house was effectively because of the cost. It had grown from being just over £1 million, which is what the current ID Verd contract is, to something over 2 million, and by the time it would have got into operation would probably have gone to 3 million. This discussion went on elsewhere in another meeting and what, and I wasn't aware or sensed that what I think will happen is that ID Verd, when they come back in to renegotiate their contract, it'll be approaching the cost of the one that we were going to supplant them with. I'd just like to make that point that if anybody was listening or whatever, then we're going to see another pressure point, as we saw with the pressure point on garden waste. A financial pressure point. So if James would like to whisper in somebody's ear that prepare yourself for some grim news.
Right. So, sorry, Councillor Allen. I beg your pardon, Councillor Allen. Please go ahead. Sorry, I can't see you. Oh,
yeah. Well, insourcing just even one part of the council, which was currently being contracted out, was and that was ground maintenance contract, was an enormous piece of work, and required a great deal of energy and enthusiasm, which I was reserving what my view on was it publicly on whether we should or insource or not, mainly because I wasn't entirely happy, haven't been entirely happy with the way that it'd been contracted out for a number of years. Anyway, I don't think the quality of work has been fantastic and altogether reliable. So I was kind of happy to let the administration attempt to insort it and see what happened. Now, a little bit disappointed that we've had a letter which I don't believe has been shared in its entirety, and the snippets that have been put into the EDR, I don't really think explain exactly why we're taking the decision, the council's taking the decision now to decide to not progress with insourcing a significant service, simply because local government organisations go ahead. Now, I can understand that the government will not want councils to start doing new things and doing things quite so significantly different, because it's bad enough trying to amalgamate councils, let alone when there's so many different moving parts within them. I understand that bit, but the last report that I saw, and Mick's just kind of corrected my thoughts on it really, the last report I saw was that it wasn't going to cost that much more than it's currently costing now. So and if you look at the snippets that are in the EDR, it says it kind of rules out the council doing anything at all, including entering into a new contract with ID Verdi or anybody else, presumably. I mean, James will correct us. presumably we'll have to put it out to tender, and it could be an entirely new contract altogether. So it rather feels to me like this is a little bit of an excuse to get out of something that was going to cost a lot of money. But I might be cynical.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Yes, I mean, yes, the EDR, the comment next to it is all about Jim McMahon, the local government and devolution minister, telling us basically that we shouldn't go into these kind of projects. So yeah, I can't see any mention of cost here at all, actually. But yeah, I can't disagree with what you said. Sorry, James, you want to have a go? Yes, thank you, James. Yes, Councillor Hawkins, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think the quotes are quite clear in the context of what the decision has been taken. I actually would like to see a copy of the letter. I don't know who has seen a copy of the letter. I know that letters often contain nuances, but I think, notwithstanding, of course, the accuracy that has been given to us, I'd like to see the letter to see how it is placed in context.
Thank you. I mean, it's no, well, it shouldn't be a secret, but I know at our leaders' meeting, I did ask a question, didn't I, because the words used were, it is likely to be a problem, I think, or something like that. And I did say, well, you know, is that likely the same as must? Because there has been a good pile of work done on this revised contract, or potential insourcing contract. And I was told that no, it seems that the ministerial instruction or letter is enough for the council to cancel it. There you go. But yeah, forgive me. We've seen part of the letter, have we, or not? Or have we seen all of the letter? We've only seen part of it, have we? Advise me, anybody. Yes, Councillor Hawkins.
I haven't seen a copy of the letter. I'm not aware. I'm sure it has been discussed, and I have no complaint about the extracts there. They make it clear from that it is likely that a service change, such as insourcing, would fall within the suggestions there. But I would like to see the letter to see the context in which those comments have been made. That is all. I think that's reasonable. That's us actually having full scope, if you like, of how decisions have come about.
Sorry? Councillor Allen, please. Thank you.
I was just going to reiterate the point. Yeah, I think we do need to see the letter to see its full context, because it also, whilst it's clear on service changes, but it also does say enter new contracts. And like I say, once the ID Verde contract comes to an end, we will have to enter a new contract, which may be more expensive or less expensive, wouldn't be necessarily covered by the current NTFS. So it feels like a get out to me. So if we could see the full letter, either in public or private, that'd be great.
Okay, so I think that's an instruction then to me to write to the leader, isn't it? To ask a full letter to be sent to the committee. So yeah, so I'm happy to do that. Yeah, and as Councillor Allen says, you know, whether we see this publicly or privately, we can do it if whatever the restrictions may be. Yes, Councillor Hawkins.
Just for clarification, I'm not implying that this is a get out. I'm simply saying that I would like to see the letter in its entirety so I can understand how these extracts were used.
Sorry, yes, right, okay, so where are we now then? Item 8 then, item 8 we've done, that was EDRs. Item 9, date of next meeting, Monday the 13th of April 2026. Councillors are asked to note this date for their diaries. Item 10, I now invite James Abbott, the Corporate Services Manager, to present the report concerning quarter 2 performance report, corporate plan, leisure contract, towns fund programme and insourcing of grounds maintenance contract. There we go.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, James. Any questions for James or about this report? No? Okay, thank you very much, James. We'll bear all that in mind, and as you say, you did right. Item 8 does talk about the ministerial letter, doesn't it, as regarding the insourcing of the grounds maintenance contract. Right, okie dokie. So if there's no more to be said over that, we will now go back to, oops, lost my page, excuse me. And we are now back to, right, at this point then, we have 3 items to consider in private. So I will now move that in accordance with section 100(a)(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, the press and public be excluded from the remainder of the meeting, as it is likely, in view of the nature of business to be transacted, or the nature of proceedings, that there will be disclosed exempt information as defined in paragraphs Part I of Schedule 12A of the Act, indicated in brackets before each item number on the agenda. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Holden. We will now go to the vote. All those for? Thank you very much. Okay, we will now wait for the recording to be turned off.